Shalom everyone, Chodesh Tov Umvorach, Chodesh Adar. I want you to feel as comfortable, don't be intimidated by this camera. You want to ask any questions, please feel comfortable. Rosh Chodesh Adar, definitely a very, very powerful beginning. We start a cycle of 60 days, 60 days of joy. Now you might ask, what is the connection between Adar and joy? Why is it that as we conclude the Torah year, which I'm going to explain what that means, we conclude it with Adar? Let's look at the calendar for a second. According to our calendar, the 7th month is Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, the whole month of Tishrei, is a month where we take in all the blessings for the whole year. How do we finish this month before we enter our year? With which holiday? Simchat Torah. Simchat Torah is the conclusion of Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Shmini Atzeret, Simchat Torah. What do we do at Simchat Torah? We dance, we rejoice with the Torah. We show the unity we have as the Jewish people. How do we show the unity? The Torah is wrapped up in its garment and we dance with it. It's not that we open the Torah, it's, oh, this one understands better than this one, and this one is more a chacham, a wiser person than this one, more knowledgeable. Everybody is equal. The Torah is not even open. It's just the essential connection I have to the Torah without the Torah being revealed. This is how we finish the holidays and we start the year. It's true, you could say the year started Rosh Hashanah, but the real year starts V'Yaakov halach ledarko once we finish the holidays and we get to the reality of day-to-day life. When is the Rosh Hashanah according to Torah? You open the Torah and you look, what does it say? HaChodesh azeh lachem Rosh Chodashim. What is the head of all the months? It's the month of Nisan. What comes just before Nisan? Adar. What is the month of Adar? Simcha. Again, we see a parallel here where you have joy just before you start the year. You have joy just before you start the year. There's the natural year, which is after Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, we deal with physical things. And then there's the supernatural year, which is the kavanah, the first intention with which God created the world, which is Nisan, which starts with a noon, ends with a noon. Nisen Nisim Na'asubo. Great miracles have been done in this month. But in order to get there, we need the month of Adar. And Adar is very particular, because it's the only month that could be doubled. God forbid. Imagine if God would have doubled the month of Av, of the destruction of the temple. God forbid. So God said, no, we are going to double the month of Adar. What happens is we have two cycles. You have the sun cycle, 365 days. You have the moon cycle, which is about 354 days and some. And every 2-3 years, you have 30 days which are missing, which is a month. And there's a mitzvah, v'shamarta et chodesh ha'aviv. You have to make sure that because of this cycle, the month of spring is the month of Pesach. And therefore, since we need the month of spring for Pesach, if we're going to follow the moon cycle, we're always going to be every year 10 days. So it's going to be sometimes 10 in the winter, sometimes in the summer, sometimes in the spring. So we add this month. This year, we have that type of leap year, and we have 60 days of Adar. What does that mean, 60 days of Adar? Our sages teach us that when you come into the month of Av, you diminish in joy. What does that mean? You do less business, you don't build homes that bring you joy, you do not do landscaping, You do not get married. You don't do things of joy. The opposite is true concerning Adar. Mishenichnas Adar marbim besimcha. You have to increase the influx and of joy. So we have 60 days of joy. Incredible. Now, this word 60, this number 60 has a very, very powerful halachic, according to Jewish law, a very, very powerful standing. We know that according to Jewish law, if you have something not kosher or a drop of milk which falls in a broth of meat, and it doesn't fall on an individual piece of meat, but just in the broth, if there's 60 times that quantity, it's absorbed and nullified. Which means, 1 second, 60 is a number that has the power to absorb, not transform, and nullify. So if we have 60 days of joy, we have the power to absorb, transform, and nullify anything negative in our life. Interesting, there's the holiday of Nisan, the month of Nisan, Pesach. Pesach is a geula, a redemption. Purim is a redemption. And then we have Purim Katan. So we have 3 holidays, one after the other. We have Purim Katan, the small Purim, which is the first month of Adar, where we're going to prepare ourselves to the real Purim, the next month, which is Purim has been established by the rabbis, not by the Torah. Purim is a time where God was concealed and everything looked logical, and the sequence of the miracle happened in a very logical way. And you have to put the pieces together to be able to see God. You have to search for God. Nisan is a redemption which is obvious and revealed, but it's a commandment of the Torah Pesach. So look what happens. It's true, the commandment of the Torah is revealed. The commandment of the rabbis is hidden. And then you have Purim Katan, the small Purim. What is a small Purim? It's our personal miracle. There's the personal miracle we experience, there's the collective hidden miracle, and then there's the collective revealed miracle. Interestingly enough, our sages teach us in the Talmud of Megillah that Adar is very special because we have 2 miracles that happen in Adar. What miracles? The miracle of Purim and the miracle of Pesach, says Rashi. Now, anybody here knows that Pesach happened in Nisan, not in Adar. What is the miracle that happened in Adar? That there was a miracle of Pesach. What are you talking about? Anybody has an idea? How did the miracle, the Passover miracle, happen during the month of Adar? Go ahead, say it.
Esther, when she was
Chazak, the night of the actual meal, the festivity that happened with Achashverosh and the story of Purim, which we're not getting into, happened on the night of Pesach. That's correct. But what happened?
When you were saying about the difference of the days before
There's something that happened in Adar that's a very important date. Yes. Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses was born. Rashi says, therefore the miracle of Purim happened in Adar, and the miracle of Pesach, the liberation of the Jews, could not have happened if it wasn't for Adar, if it wasn't for that date that Moshe Rabbeinu was born. Let's look a little for a second at the story of what happened during Purim. Haman, Hitler, Harasha, wanted to destroy all of the Jewish people in one day. 127 nations were under the dominion, the power of Achashverosh. Haman comes with this evil plan because all Jews live in the same area. There's no way you can escape. You're all in the provinces of the same monarch. And there's a decree every day. And it's just like if you have a jihad, a holy war, declared. Anybody, God forbid, in one day. Today the Jews are spread all over the world. But then everything was concentrated. Comes Haman and says, I know the day that I'm going to do this lottery to be able to destroy the Jewish people. I'm going to do it on a bad day. What's a bad day for the Jewish people? The death of their leader. Who's their leader? Moses. Comes the Talmud and says, fool, fool Haman. What a fool he was. He did not know that Moses was born on Zayin Adar. He was born on the day of the 7th of Adar. Comes the Talmud and says something which is wondrous. The Talmud says, Yavo Yom Haleda veYechaper al Yom Hamita. The day of birth of Moses will actually overturn the negativity of the day, that it's this day of death. Doesn't make sense. What is more important, the day of death or the day of birth? Well, let's look in the Proverbs of King Solomon. Tov Shem mishemen tov, ve'yom hamavet miyom ivaledo. He says it is better the day of death than the day of birth. Why? Somebody is born into the world. You don't know what's going to happen, what he's going to do in the world. Maybe he's going to be a thief. Maybe he's going to be, who knows what's going to happen with him. But after a person dies, you realize, wow, this is the life he lived. Wow, he has a good name. Now I know who he is. So how is it possible that the Talmud says that the day of birth for Moshe is better than the day of death? So it explains that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, really was born, and the day he was born, va tirei oto ki tov. They saw that he was good. The word tov, it was good, is used concerning light. When God saw the light, he said it was good. What does it mean it was good? It means that itmale kol habayit kulo ora. The whole house became filled with light from this holy tzaddik. Moshe Rabbeinu already from the beginning was so attached to God. He was born in exile. He was born in a time where nobody wanted to bring children to the world because there was these terrible decrees on children. And he started this whole process of being born at a time of terrible atrocities that were done to our people in Egypt. He was there with light. And therefore, the day he was born, there's a new light, a new hope that was born for the Jewish people. And this is more powerful, and especially for Moshe, that concerning the tzaddikim, the righteous in general, it says that the tzaddikim are more alive. They're alive in their death. The wicked, they're dead in their lifetime. You have two types of people. You have a person that is wicked. He's not good. You think he is alive, but he's dead. He receives his life force from death. You have a person which is dead. Physically you don't see him, but his influence in his life is more alive than any person alive. A little parenthesis. Rabbi Israel Meir Lau, the past chief rabbi of Israel, Lulek, wrote a book, many books, on his experience during the Holocaust, met in first class a Chassid of Belz. It's a Hasidic group. And he asked him, so what did you do, Rabbi Lau? He says, I just went to speak for the Chabad assembly gathering. He says, you speak for them? Some of them say that their rabbi, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Schneerson, is alive. How could you go speak for them? So Rabbi Lau said, I'm not saying that's what I believe, but I could not stay silent, he said. I asked him, you are a Chassid, a follower of the Belzer Rebbe, which has a synagogue with 7,000 people praying in this synagogue. Beautiful temple. They call it the Mikdash, whatever. The Bet Mikdash, you know. So he said, let me ask you a question. If your Rebbe, the Belzer Rebbe, would now ask you to leave Jerusalem and to go with your 6 children and move to Thailand to open a house for Jews, to take care of their needs, physical and spiritual needs, and never come back till Mashiach comes, would you be willing to do it? The Belzer Chassid looks at him and says, I would tell my Rebbe, you go, I'll stay here. So Rabbi Lau asked him, who is more alive? Your Rebbe or the Lubavitcher Rebbe, which already for 27 years we haven't seen him? 20, whatever. The influence of Moshe Rabbeinu, of the Tzaddik, is one which is lasting, whether you see him or not. And therefore the redemption, imagine, 1,000 or 2,000 years after Moses passed on, we are still reminiscing the power of his birthday that had the power to change the decree of Haman because of this power of influence. From here, I would like to explain what does it mean. Mi shenichnas Adar marbim besimcha. You come into the month of Adar, you increase in joy. But before I do that, I would like to quote the Talmud of Psachim on page 117. You could go see it yourself. Over there is a question. Sometimes in the Psalms, in the words of King David, it says in the songs, in Tehillim, Le David Mizmor, for David a song. Sometimes it says, Mizmor le David, a song for David. The Talmud asks, isn't it the same thing? If it says le David Mizmor, Mizmor le David. The Talmud says no. When it says Mizmor le David, King David started to sing. And after he started to sing, the Shekhinah, God's presence, dwelled on him. Whenever it says le David Mizmor, first, the presence of God was over King David, and then he started singing. What is the conclusion of the Talmud on this? Lelamedcha she'en hashchina shora, to teach you that the presence of God cannot dwell, lo mitoch, not through 5 things. Wherever there's these 5 things, you cannot have the presence of God dwell upon you. I will tell you the 5 things next time. No. So it says, Atzvut, depression, sadness. Atzlut, laziness. Schok, laughter for no reason. Kalut Rosh, being lightheaded. And dvarim betelim, and idle talk. These are 5 things which have such, we have the first 2 elements, atzvut and atzlut. Depression and laziness come from the earth, it draws you down. All the other, it's just light, it's wind, it has no substance. These 5 things are the total opposite of where the simcha, where the Shekhinah, God's presence, can dwell. Ella, not through these 5 things, but only mitoch dvar simcha shel mitzvah. Where can the presence of God dwell? When you have the joy of doing a mitzvah. The word mitzvah, by the way, is not a commandment. The word mitzvah in a deep way means a connection. I feel connected. What does it mean I feel connected? I am connected. I'm going to explain the difference. There's a true sense of joy in marriage, for example. You have different things that you can experience in a relationship which will make you happy. You can have a nice dinner together. You can have a nice discussion. You can have an intimate relation. All these things you can be going to a movie, sharing an experience. All these things are moments you share together which bring you a certain sense of joy. But if we talk about a joy which is an inner joy, which does not depend on anything, what is that joy? It's the joy of being able to walk, to be away somewhere, and just the fact that I know that I have a spouse, that I have a better half, and I'm connected to her, she is connected to me, I'm not alone. That in itself makes me walk in a way that I feel whole, I feel complete. I feel strong, I feel confident. I feel more focused and stable. My foundation is there. That in itself brings me a sense of joy. You have people that in their relationship with God, they're looking for excitement. I go to a good movie. I go to Epcot. Now they have the 4-dimensional, 3-dimensional movie. And on the seats, they have these little speakers so you could feel from both really closer, like it wasn't enough, closer. And when you go into water, you have this spritz water on your face. And I need to experiment. I need to be able to experiment everything. I need to feel myself. Right? Next thing you know, water spritches, we have ducks which show up on the class.
Good attendance.
We have all the sound effects. Why are people so unhappy? Because they're looking to feel. I want to feel. I want to feel God. So I'm going to have to do something external to feel God. I want to feel that connection. So if I go to this and this place, they play the organ on Friday night when they sing Lecha Dodi. That makes me feel. If I go to this and this place, they do something very, very spiritual, and it makes me feel. I don't understand, I don't integrate it. If I go to this class, I'm going to hear mystical things that I don't have a clue what's been talking about. But I just feel good. Simcha is Em Habanim Semecha. Simcha, David HaMelech, King David says, Em, the mother, Habanim, which has the children, she is happy. What does that mean? What is the mother? We have a brain. A part of our brain is male. A part of our brain is female. And something is happening in our brain between both of them. When they unite, they are in a state of fusion called Da'at. Chokhmah, wisdom, understanding, fusion together, and they know one another, they bond, so they give birth to emotions. When am I in a state of joy? When my mind, what I've developed in my mind and my understanding, is one with my emotion. There's no separation. There is no dichotomy. There's no between both of them. I'm driven. The head and the heart are going in the same direction. It's not, oh, maybe no, I have it clear, I don't have it clear. At that moment, I feel that connection. That connection, I don't need to feel something external. I don't need to have a moment of a fantasy or an exciting thing to connect myself to God. I just feel connected. I am connected. The ultimate joy is the simcha of a mitzvah. The simcha, the joy of feeling just, I'm connected to God. I've absorbed, and my head and my heart are at the same level. I don't need to prove myself to anybody. You know, today, the level of divorce is an average of 50 to 58%. That's what it is today. In some countries, it's much worse than that. In Malaysia, in Ethiopia, it's very, very short, very little. Guess you get married to so many wives, it's much easier not to divorce. So, I'm just joking. What's happening? What exactly is the problem? The problem is that, emotionally speaking, today in our society, we fulfill our emotional needs in other ways. In the olden days, I come home. You know what happened today? No, I don't know what happened today. This happened, and that happened, and this happened, and that happened, and what do you think? And you react, and you encourage, and you mirror me, and you empathize with me, you sympathize with me, and so on and so forth. We are one. Today, the whole world knows how I dressed, what I did, how much cost my new bag, my new shoes, where I vacationed, right? And how pretty or how handsome or how many pounds I lost. And I got this all day. I'm looking for this. And I'm looking for not the real emotions. We're going to crush them and make them little emojis. Emojis. Right? Right? And you wonder where you can buy more of these emojis. I want to make it more dramatic. I put a lot of them. I feel good. And I got my whole tank is filled. Jeanette saw this, and Jack saw this, and Ike said I'm the best, and I got this amount of views. I Instagrammed, I Snapchat. Oh boy, this social networking is really working for me. Networking. I come home. I don't need somebody to react to who I am. I already got I got filled with all the emotions I need. And the same thing happens with him. We meet. Hi. Hi. How you day? Great. What happened? You're a lifeless being? You're not... No, I got enough today. And afterwards we look for more things which are in the physical realm to keep us busy. So today we're legalizing pot all over the place, everywhere. CBD and Simidu and so on and so forth. I need to feel. I look at my phone an average of 80 times a day. That's the minimum. Teenagers is much more. So all these neural connections are being created. The brain is in withdrawal, asking for more. I can't sleep at night. Calm state. So I need an antidepressant or another shachta, another, to feel good. I have to calm down, I have to feel. I have to calm down, I have to feel. I have to calm down, I have to feel. This is the opposite of what we just said. It's not simcha shel mitzvah. It's not that I'm rejoicing and connecting with something which is higher than me. It's I'm trying to rejoice in connecting to my physical self. And I want to get more and more of that physical self. And that's why you have so many people which are addicted. Addicted to the internet. Addicted to sexual things. Addicted to drugs. Addicted to gambling. We want to feel. The simcha of the mitzvah. What is joy? The real joy is to feel connected. To bond. To be in a state of fusion with my inner self. With my better self. With a higher power. With God. Understand that is the reality of who I am. Unfortunately, we have been labeled with so many labels. We actually believe that we are the people we've been labeled. We are not. And this is the teaching of Chassidut. Em habanim semecha. Let me explain. The Tikkunei Zohar and its introduction talks about this mitzvah of the mother bird hovering over its eggs, over its chicks, or sitting on its baby birds. There's a mitzvah, it says, to send away the bird and to take the eggs or take the chicks. But it says, Lo tikach ha'em al habanim, do not take the mother when it's over the birds. This is a basic concept in Kabbalah. Why do we do this cruelty to send away the mother? It says in chapter 84 of Tehillim, Gam tzipor matze'a bayit deror ken la. We say, God, King David says to God, God, I don't understand you. Even a bird has a nest. Where's your nest? Where's your temple? Your temple has been destroyed. So the Zohar explains, based on this, that when we send the mother away from its nest, from its children, it cries to God, I've been sent away from my home. The Shekhinah, God's presence, cries to God and says, I've been sent away from my home, rebuild the temple. But the Zohar says something very interesting. What is this? He explains the three concepts of the eggs, the chicks, the full-grown bird. What did we say before? M, the mother, is the brain, the understanding. The children are the emotions. He says you have three types of people. You have people that think superficially. They have a good feeling, a good idea in their mind. Oh, and they want to feel. They give birth to an egg. What's an egg? An egg has a shell. It's an emotion that will never come out of there. You'll never change. Then you have people that make a little more ma'amatz, a little more effort. They study deeper things, and they give birth to little chicks. But the little chicks, they feel certain emotions. I'm able to cry and say, oh, I want to change. I can't do this anymore. And then I start again tomorrow. And then you have those who go into the secrets of Torah, the secrets of Chassidut, have a new perspective in their connection. But it's not something which is hovering over them. It's something that they can absorb. It's not a Kabbalistic teaching which is just theoretical, something mystical that's away from me. It's Chassidut. It's the Hasidic philosophy of the Baal Shem Tov that is absorbable, that you can absorb and understand and comprehend and integrate in your practical daily life. then you contemplate, you meditate, and you give birth to real birds, self-independent emotions. That's the moment that the mind meets the heart. The two worlds, the world of intellect, which is cold, and the world of emotion, which is fire, meet together. Do you know what that meaning means? It means that I'm so driven, I wake up in the morning, I can't wait to start my day. I'm so excited. I have so many things to do. I want to be able to connect. I want to be able to pray and just forget about the world. At that moment, just be attached to my source of life and connect and just be one. I want to study. I want to be able to open my understanding, my mind, to understand a deeper perspective of life. I want to be able to love those who are near me and bond with them and give them that quality of time and give myself. I want to be able to know myself a little more. Know who I am, why am I here? Everything else I do, my work, where I'm running, after what I'm running, is all secondary to this. And therefore, I'm a happy person all day. I say to people, I would dance all day, but I don't have the time. But I think that's really the attitude we should have. The level of connection, simcha, the real joy is, I'm connected. Or, I'm wired. I'm wired not with some types of crutches from T-Mobile to AT&T or any of that social networking. I'm wired up. And because I'm wired up, my life is a much greater life. And therefore, one day I asked Rabbi Ben Zion Grossman, the brother of Rabbi Yitzchak David Grossman that was visited us a couple of weeks ago, about 10 years ago. I saw him here in Miami and I said, Rabbi Grossman, how do you overcome laziness? Rabbi Grossman looks at me like I fell from the moon. He said, I don't understand. You did not study Hasidut. You did not study Hasidic philosophy. Don't you know that laziness does not exist? I said, come to my house and I'm going to show you what laziness is. He says, no, there's no such a thing as laziness. There's a lack of motivation. What's a lack of motivation? Lack of understanding exactly what you're doing. I would be lazy too if somebody said, put on tefillin. Why? Just put on tefillin. That was the old generation. It's very interesting when we compare the generations. My parents didn't have the communication I have with my parents. And the communication my children have with me, I didn't have with my parents. The old generation was just do and be quiet. Naaseh v'nishma. It was naaseh. The nishma was a very light level of nishma. And then you have today a whole generation of people that want to know and want to understand because they want to be driven truly. They want the experience of Purim Katan, my personal Purim, my small Purim, my experience of joy where I live my own miracles and I have that perspective. I want to understand what I'm doing. Why am I doing it? So on one hand, it has caused a tremendous turmoil in the classroom. We have Montessori schools, and we have these special programs, and we have extracurricular activities, and we have whatever. Why? Because we don't know how to handle these kids. We used to have little cookie cutter robots. It was so great. And when we don't have them, pop a pill. It's just going to be fine. Just fit in the program. Reminds me of the story in Israel. There's this boy that the Rosh Yeshiva told the classroom, the teacher told the parents, this guy really needs meds. You know, special medicine for it. Sometimes you need it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against it at all. You need meds. So, because each time the teacher was calling the parents saying, your kid's causing trouble. Okay, the kid's causing trouble, no problem. Okay, so we have an idea. Every day, my son will go out of the class. When he brings you your coffee, he will go out, take his meds, and come back, and it'll be discreet, like this, he'll never forget. No problem. From that day on, the teacher did not call the parent. So the parent says, it's been a month, we didn't get one call from the teacher, you've been taking your meds? He says, no, every day I put it in my teacher's coffee. And now he has more patience for me. We are a very, very special generation. We have children that are more exposed to all types of knowledges today, to all types of pleasures, to all types of experiences. Joy, simcha shel mitzvah. Joy is experienced when you have a true, deep fusion. The same way you want to have a relationship which is deep with your spouse, you want to give the tool for your children to be able to overcome the challenges outside, you need to have an inside. You need to have a deep inside. And you need to have a deep insight to share with them, to speak to them before anybody else does. So they'll see that you have such a deep insight, you're such an educator, you have so much patience for them, that you are creating that bond. And it's amazing. They'll ask questions. Children will ask you questions which big rabbis will not ask you, because they're so pure, they're so direct, they're so simple, they're so not twisted and not complicated and not complex in trying to analyze things too much. The simcha of mitzvah, that's what brings the presence of God upon you. And therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu passed on, but that power, the presence of God is on him, therefore we still benefit of his teachings. A person can be alive, but he doesn't have that presence of God. He's not alive. There's no blessing. There is a Hasid of Borough Park. I saw the interview. I've shared the story quite a few times, but I think it's so powerful. He shared that he didn't have children for 10 years. He went to see the Lubavitcher Rebbe and got $1 and got a promise and a blessing from the Rebbe that he will have a child. Something out of the ordinary happened after that. He got a letter from the Rebbe saying to him, concerning your request for a child and my blessing, I want to tell you that my blessing cannot dwell in a place of sadness and depression. Therefore, I advise you to adopt a child. And this will bring joy in the family, and that joy itself will bring about all the blessings. And that's exactly what happened. They adopted a child. It brought joy in the family. And afterwards, she was able to conceive 9 kids.
Wow.
We have to know, Mishenichnas Adar marbim besimcha means that I experience the joy of being able to bond. When you're in a good fusion with your spouse, when you're in a good fusion with your children, when you're in a good fusion with yourself, you trust yourself. You trust your God, your gut feeling. you connect yourself to a higher level, at that moment God's presence is with you. Then you really have joy, because you're not depending on physical things or other people to bring you joy. What happened at the beginning of creation? At the beginning of creation, there was a big problem. Someone decided to bring in the mind of Chava, of Eve, a doubt. What is the doubt? Maybe you could be like God. Oh, that's nice. Yes, just eat from this tree and you could be like God. That's amazing. I could be like God. I want to be God. At the end, what is the retribution? What is the consequence of their actions? Kotz v'dardar tatzmiach lach. Thorns and thistles will grow in your field. Things won't grow naturally, perfectly. You're going to have to extract the bad from the good. How do you say the word dardar in Hebrew? You read it like this: Dalet and Resh. These two letters, Dalet and Resh, look very similar. One letter is square, the other one is round. It's interesting because twice in the Torah do we find that these letters, both letters, appear as big letters. There are three sizes of letters in the Torah: small size, medium size, which is the most of the Torah, and big size. You obviously know where the Dalet is. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hashem is one. Dalet. Square. But it says in next week's, in 2 weeks from now in the parasha, Lo tishtahave le'el acher, you should not bow to another God, which finishes with the letter Resh. So you have on one hand the word Echad, oops, the word Echad, square, and the word Acher, round. One is square, the other one is round. The one that's round represents other gods. The one that's square represents our God. What's the difference between round and square? How is the world, round or square?
Round.
How are the cells? Round. How is everything that works naturally that's been created by the Creator? It's all round. Let's look at our mitzvot, our commandments. The tefillin that we wear, square. The talit that we wear, square. The sukkah that we build, square. The mikveh that we build, square. What is the purpose of square over round? The purpose is that when you have a circle, it says, Reshaim saviv yithalechun. The Reshaim, the wicked, they go in circles. They're always doing the same thing, and it just repeats itself and repeats itself and repeats itself. There's no change. What do we do before we get married? We break a plate in order to create an edge, a beginning, an end. And then we do a square. Because the purpose of the world, we say in Bereshit, in the Kiddush on Friday night, Asher bara Elokim la'asot. God created, this is the world God created to do. What's that to do? That's the word that God created. To do, our sages say, is to repair. God gives us a world that we need to repair. And therefore, yes, a child which is 8 days old needs to make Brit Milah. He needs to repair. You repair yourself. And when you repair your body, you repair your soul. You connect the both together, you sanctify the body. So what's the problem? The problem is, you know what? This is Echad. Dalet is one, is the name of Hashem, God. Aresh represents the other God. You have doubts between who is the master of the universe or not. And you start eating from the fruit of knowledge. I'm going to make that in your field, you should have Dalet Resh, thorns. Kotz v'dardar tatzmiach lach. The letter Dalet, which represents Hashem, the other God. Who gives me my sustenance? Where does it come from? I don't know. You know, they say a famous story that one day somebody talks to God. He says, God, where were you? Where were you through my bad times? He says, look at the steps. I see four sets of steps. It says, these are your steps, and this is me following you. I see you've always been with me. But I see, I'm sorry, when things were difficult, I only see 2 steps. It says, yes, fool, I was carrying you on my shoulders. You only see mine. The problem is we make our lives complicated. Our sages teach us, en simha ke'atarat hasfekot. Want to know what joy is? You want me to show you? Yes. You didn't get that one. So, thank you. So, what is joy? Our sages teach us. Joy is when you have no doubts. Even if you have $1 million here, $1 million in this, and you don't know where to go, you are split. You have no joy. Joy equals certainty. That's joy. When you have clarity and certainty, you have da'at, you're focused. One. You're in fusion. To go back to what we said before. Don't go in the street and say, yeah, you know what, this girl looks good. Maybe my wife after all. No, you don't have these doubts. You're not ready to exchange your God. You're not ready to exchange your family. You're not ready to exchange anything. This is joy. What was the problem of Adam Arishon and Chava? They had doubts. Who is the God? The Dalet or the other? The Dalet, very good. So we're going to make a word out of this, which is called thorns. You're going to find thorns in your reality because you have that dichotomy inside of you, that paradox. What is missing here? We're missing one thing. What is that one thing? The letter Aleph. What is the letter Aleph? The letter Aleph is a Yud on the top, a Yud on the bottom, and a Vav in the middle. Oof, terrible. Let's do that again. You have a Yud on the top. You have a Yud on the bottom. And you have a Vav in the middle. Yud has a numerical value of 10. Yud has a numerical value of 10. Vav, together it's 26. It's God's name. The Aleph, just like the word Aluf, Alufo Shel Olam is the master of the universe. What do I need to do for the master of the universe? I need to create a home for him in this reality. How is that called? A dirah. Dirah means a home. What is a home? The purpose of creation, it says in Chassidut, is to create a home for God. A home is very special. In a home, I don't need my clothes. I need my mic. I don't need my clothes. I don't need to show off this clothes, that clothes. I'm just myself. And if I don't want to have clothes, I don't need to. I'm not saying that halachically it's permitted, please. I don't need titles or names. I don't even need my name. I am I. My essence dwells in my home. God has many names, many ways to reveal himself. He is concealed in many ways as well. In this world, which is called olam, which comes from the word he'elem, concealment. You know what God wants? He wants to have a home in this world. He wants that his essence should be able to dwell. The ultimate level of revelation, the essence of God should be revealed. What is that? That's the Aleph. He wants to be revealed in a house. House. How do you write the word house? Dalet, Resh, Adar. Mishenichnas Adar marbim besimcha. When you're able to bring the Aleph, the master of the universe, in a perfect fusion in your house, in your doubts, and there's no doubts, that's when you have joy. And therefore, during this month of Adar is a time to really contemplate on what our mission is. How am I experiencing my relationships? Starting with my relationship with myself, my relationship with my spouse, my relationship with my children, my relationship with God. How am I making space in order for God to be part of my life and to give me that drive? What is the drive that drives me every morning, every moment, every night? How is my mind and my heart in sync, in perfect fusion? Once I have an answer to all these questions, and I become a doer, I do for others, I get out of my comfort zone, then we can experience true simcha, true joy, and then we can experience truthfully the presence of God and have the success that comes with it in every area of our life. Chodesh Tov.